CEO and co-founder. It's Wednesday, Prince Spaghetti Day, Mott and Chace Day. We're headed across the city over to Mott and Chace's. I'm not sure if it's a world headquarters, global headquarters, but it is an impressive headquarters, and we've got Robert Rutley. Mr. Rutley, thank you so much for joining us.
I'm honored to be aligned with Prince's Wednesday Spaghetti Day. Thank you.
Robert Rutley, you help folks with real estate all over the state. What is the state of the state, just to pick up on the State of the Union from last week, what is the state of the state relative to real estate right as we speak?
Well, it looks like there's some hope out there in real estate. We've got a little bit of a nudge up on new listings. We expected this for March. As soon as the daffodils start popping up, for some reason, buyers go rabid and people are listing properties left and right. It's the perfect spring market. It's the beginning to everything. So I think we're looking at probably double the listings in some key neighborhoods. So for the east side of Providence, we have been, between 5 and 10 all winter. I think there's about 20 single family listings on the east side. It's nowhere near the amount of demand. I think I think there have been 20 sales altogether for the entire year so far on the east side. So with 20 listings, we don't even have a month's supply of inventory. But the same thing for Narragansett. Barrington is incredibly dark when it comes to listings. I think there are probably 10 or 11 right now, and there are a lot of people looking. So it's super complicated. I'm hopeful because there is a little more inventory, but it's still tough going, and there's going to be a lot of competition.
Yeah, I mean, if you had 200 houses on the east side, not 20, they would all sell, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah. So this past 10 days, we've had a couple of federal data points come out. One was the job numbers last week, in which show that job growth continues to just go up and up and up, beating all expectations, over 200,000 new jobs in the United States. And then this week, we got some inflation news where inflation was higher than expected and pushed back up over 3%. Obviously, the Federal Reserve, Chairman Powell has constantly said for the past 24 months pretty much that he wants to see inflation at 2% before rate cuts. Is this the little bit of the dark cloud above the relatively good news of increased number of listings? How do we balance these two indicators?
I think that our inflation has been higher and not perfect for the past year or so, and it's affected interest rates for people that need mortgage lending. But I think that we are at a point where people have held off as long as they possibly can, and if they need to purchase a home, they have to purchase a home. So I don't think the CPI or whatever Jerome Powell is saying right now is really affecting people with boots on the ground. I think that we still have a huge motivated base of buyers. We just need people to list their homes so there is something for them to purchase. We're under 4 with the CPI index, and at least we're there. But I know that 2 is where we want to be.
So I was walking around my neighborhood the other day, walking the dog, and just sort of looking at houses and who lives in them, and thinking about that more than half the houses that I walked by either have 2 people, older, 1 person, or 0 people, and yet none of these homes are for sale. These are all big houses, rumbling houses on the east side of Providence, 3,500 to 5,000 square feet homes. And those folks in a normal environment probably be selling their house in the spring season. None of them have a for sale sign right now. Is it the fact that those folks who are really in a normal situation, ready to sell their home and move somewhere else into smaller living, more comfortable living, one floor living, just aren't moving?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is the increase in prices and properties that have happened over the past 3, 4 years. People have purchased homes on the east side for $500,000, $600,000, maybe 5 years ago or longer. And if they sell their home, sure, they're going to make bank. They're going to make a lot of money. But for what they're buying right now for $500,000, $600,000, that would be similar in any other similar neighborhood, they're not getting quite as much house. So I think that's what's holding a lot of people back.
And what do you see? Are we going to continue to see this growth? We were 10 houses on the market, and we're just using the east side as a baseline, but it's pretty
Sure.
consistent across the state. If we had
Yep.
10 houses a month ago, we've got 20 now. Are we going to see 40 in April and May?
I hope so. It's hard to tell. I am hopeful right now because March is when things start to glimmer a little bit. But I think that there are people that are going to be listing 40. I would hope so.
Yeah. And Robert, what's the rest of the state, looking like? Are we seeing any anomalies, either one direction or the other? And are we seeing any indications of any price relief? Or is this just more buyers into the market, as you say, they cannot hold on any longer? They're in a 2-bedroom apartment. They've got 3 children. It's up or out.
Yeah, I mean, price relief, I would hope so. It doesn't look at the markets going that way. When you're looking at communities like East Greenwich, Cranston, Edgewood, or even Western Cranston, places in Narragansett, these are houses that were selling under $1 million a few years ago. Now we have so many homes that are 1.7, 1.8, 1.9. There gets a point when there's only so many people in our community that can afford those properties. So at some point, I would think, and it would be rational for me, and this is not statistics or science based whatsoever, that prices need to be reduced a little bit until wage growth happens.
The General Assembly has got a number of initiatives on housing that they're kicking around. They've taken some action the last 2 years in infusing a significant amount of money. How much of it's been spent is much in question, and how effective it's been is even more in question. But one of the things they're looking at is a $40,000 pool of money per first-time home buyers. All the details aren't fleshed out yet, but is $40,000, does that even help?
It depends on what you're buying. Most first-time home buyers you will be buying a starter home. That's $40,000 for one person would be fantastic. If they're trying to spread that out over several people, no, it doesn't.
No,
It
no,
doesn't.
per
Yeah,
buyer, per couple.
yeah. $40,000 is significant. If you're putting 20% down, maybe that's a good starter home in a secondary neighborhood.
And do we see right now, based on what the prices are, we're not seeing a lot of first-time home buyers anywhere near this market?
There are a lot of first-time home buyers that, for some reason or other, have not ever purchased a property, and it runs a gamut. Some people are looking for a $200,000 property, which is that's a needle in a haystack.
Right.
But there are other first-time home buyers that I'm working with that have budgets between 1.2 and 1.8 million.
Yeah. But that's not your traditional young couple gets married, starts saving. That's in-law or parents helping.
Sometimes, but I think we're seeing a great transfer of wealth too from baby boomers onto millennials. So I think that's going to be a big shift.
Where do you see, as you advise home buyers, how are you advising them for this spring season?
Get your ducks in a row, understand what you're looking for, make quick decisions.
And for sellers, what's the guide to them? They're nervous. They understand they're going to make a significant amount of money. They can put it in their pocket, but they say to you, but Robert, where do we move to?
If they're going to buy another house, selling a house and buying another one at the same time in this market is probably one of the most difficult things to do. Just have a really good guide in real estate that can help you and guide you through the process.
And are you renting out your basement as further options for these folks looking to downsize?
I am not, but I am looking forward to finding out where this ADU laws or from the city and the state go.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit. It's a question that literally pops up. Somebody asks us a question about it. Do we think that's going to be adopted? People some raise concerns, especially in potentially in college communities in which that just becomes de facto potentially another college house, right on the same location. Talk a little bit about these and how well, if you know, it's been worked out in other communities.
Well, I think for a lot of communities, an ADU is generally somebody that has to be a family member, and it can't be short-term rentals, and it can't be a complete stranger. So it's just a way for somebody to have extended family live with them. And from what I understand, most communities do have those restrictions. So you can't turn a single family with an ADU into a multifamily.
Right. And is this something? Are the realtors on board on this as a trade organization? Is there a push for this amongst you and your colleagues?
I mean, there's definitely a push between me and my colleagues on this. I'm not sure where the NAR stands on ADUs, but we have a housing crisis. There's not enough housing. This is a great way to create opportunities for people.
And Robert, last word to you, and I always appreciate it. You know, if we don't see a dramatic change in interest rates, we know that home prices have been, in Rhode Island, the median price has been about up or down 450. Are we going to see this continued increase in home prices throughout this year?
I would think so, unless there's more inventory to satiate all the buyers. I think it's just to increase the values. We bid on a condo this weekend, and I think there were 7 offers, 2 were cash, and we bid significantly over it. We still did not win. So that's the kind of thing that happens in the spring market when there's no inventory, that creates a foundation for increased prices for all the other condos in the next year that might sell.
Right.
I expect it.
Robert Rutley, as always, greatly appreciate you taking the time and getting your viewpoint for Mott and Chace. For everybody else, stay tuned. There is a lot going on. Stay tuned for much more. We're digging in on the Washington Bridge, as you've probably seen, deep and far, and a lot of relationships and what's going on, especially looking at the contractor who has been building the Washington Bridge and is now doing the emergency repair. Take a look at a story yesterday. We're going to have more on that as well today. Thanks, everybody. Stay tuned and stay safe. Thanks.